It's a tough video for me to make today because I've really been lost behind the scenes. And I wanted to be honest with you about what's really going on with me behind the scenes. So I finally finished Spicy Living and was so excited to finally launch. And I have a ton of content done and ready to publish. And right after I launched, I had a bunch of, SEO stuff to do, messing around with SEO and schema code and optimization problems. And I'm fiddling around with that. And then Charlie Kirk was killed. And that happened a couple days before my birthday. And I had kind of been in this frame of mind thinking about, I just turned 59 and how different my life has been than how I thought my 50s were going to go. And what does this next decade look like as I kind of am prepared? And so it's kind of where my headset was at. And then Charlie died. And I have to say that from that moment until today, and this has been ongoing all morning, I have been paralyzed. So I wanted to explain why. Last summer, I think it was in June, when Elon Musk tweeted, or whatever you call what he does nowadays, that the reason that Trump wasn't releasing the Epstein files was because he was in them. Have a nice day, DJT. And obviously that turned into a big fight between the two of them. And it also reopened the Epstein case, at least for me. I hadn't thought about it for a while. And so I started looking into it, I guess, listening to videos. There was a lot of news around it. And part of what I ended up listening to was Charlie Kirk. And I didn't know him before this. And if you remember, in that time, there were a lot of MAGA influencers and right-wing media that were very upset about the Epstein files. And so there was a beginning of a break. And so I had started listening to this Charlie Kirk. I found myself able to listen to him, really listen, because he was talking about a subject that we had common beliefs about, which was, this is not true. We're being lied to. Why are we covering up the largest pedophile trafficking ring in maybe not human history, but seems like human history, at least my history? Why are we doing that? What's going on? And so all of a sudden, I'm on the same team as them, the big them. And as I was listening to his grievances over the Epstein files and everything that surrounded that, I found myself listening to Tucker Carlson, and listening to what he had to say about the Epstein files, about Israel, and why we are the way we are with Israel, and what does it mean to be anti-Semitic. And it doesn't have to do with your people that are Jewish people. You're talking about a government of another country, and why was that so bad? And I was listening to him talk about those things and finding myself in agreement. And I never thought I'd be in agreement with Tucker Carlson. And so I started listening to other subjects. And I especially liked Charlie Kirk. There was something about him and the way that he loved to debate. I can remember being a debater as a young person and thinking that that was fun, and how hard it was to make arguments against things that you don't believe in, but how you do that as part of the process. And I know that most of the video clips that I've seen recently of Charlie's that are just horrible are things that he was making some outrageous point in a debate about so that he could make his point, which is kind of how debating is done. And some of it, I think, was views that had evolved over time, and maybe they were still views that had not evolved over time. But I love the fact that there was this 31-year-old man who was talking with young people about issues, and not just name calling. He was talking about the issues. Like, that's what's been missing from my point of view, is debating issues instead of name calling and finger pointing and insults and all of that. Just grosses me out. But to debate it, to try to understand what people are saying and where they're coming from, to me, that is what politics is supposed to be. That's what we're supposed to do with differing opinions. And there he is, this guy who's younger than all of my kids, who is a young dad and a husband, and he's made it cool for them to go, for people his age to go to church and to go on a faith journey, and making it cool not to drink and to choose not to indulge in those kinds of things because it was more important to be a good man and a good father and a good provider. And these are messages that I think have been missing from a generation of young men. And I'm so grateful that he was doing that. In my opinion, that's how politics should be practiced. Out in person, with the people that don't agree with you, going through it patiently, one subject at a time. So, what I want out of all of this is maybe a little re-era in a bit of a different direction, where we can reconsider and reevaluate our reactions and our willingness to listen to the other side and discuss things respectfully, and knowing that their lens that they look out of, it's not the same. We need to understand that. They are not looking through things with the same perspective. So we have to try to understand each other. It's not easy, but it is possible. I believe it's possible. The last thing I want to say in this video, as all of that unfolded and the feed on Facebook and everywhere, doesn't matter where, and there were plenty of people celebrating Charlie's murder and saying horrible things. And good, we got another one. Oh, one less, It was really sickening, because my guess is you probably just heard a soundbite, or you were spoon-fed one of the worst things that he ever said, and then it got taken out of context. Or maybe it was just a horrible thing he said. Either way, it wasn't the whole story. And I suspect that a lot of what we've been fed on all sides is not the whole story. I want to come together as a country, and in order to do that, I can't be not afraid. I cannot be speaking to only 50% of people. What good is that? I believe there's got to be people on the left that are finding themselves lost, as I do. And I know there's got to be people on the right that are finding themselves also lost. And I understand that as well. We can do this, guys. We can unite as a country because we, the people, we have the power. Only if we can do this, though, hear each other, listen to each other, we can assemble and organize and come together. Or it stays like this and it gets worse. I don't know about you, but I'm already stressed out enough. You know, I've got no military experience or background, so these planes overhead make me nervous where I am here in Puerto Rico. I get scared about climate change and the reefs getting destroyed, and I worry about children in Gaza. And I worry about my neighbors here and back in the States. I want us to all be together again. And the only time that we don't come together is, you know, what do they used to say? Even when I was a kid, we don't talk about sex, politics, or religion at dinner. Maybe we could go back to that. But let's at least hear each other out respectfully. Thanks for your time.